Welcome to the Sleeping Zoo. Tonight, we follow the quiet journey of a giant from the moment she is born beneath an African sky until the day her steps no longer fall upon the earth. This is the life of an elephant. Our story begins not with thundering herds, not with towering tusks or rumbling calls, but with silence. Deep in the shade of a tall baobab tree, a mother stands, still, calm, ancient in her movements. She is heavy with new life. She has carried this calf for nearly 2 years, and now her journey as a mother is about to begin. Around her, the herd gathers, not in panic, not in a rush, but in quiet purpose. Older sisters, aunties, even the matriarch, the oldest female among them, form a circle, a barrier of warmth and safety. They know what is coming. The heat of the sun is softened by cloud cover. A breeze stirs the dust. Birds pause in their song. The world holds its breath. And then, with a low groan and a sway of her massive body, the mother begins. It is not a quick moment. It is not a sudden event. It is a passage measured in minutes, and pain and instinct. She leans forward, her trunk curled inward. The others draw near, touching her gently with their trunks, offering comfort, ancient, unspoken. And then the calf arrives. She falls to the ground, damp and new, a bundle of thick skin and fragile breath. Her ears twitch, her legs sprawl. She is alive. The mother turns quickly, nudging her baby upright with quiet urgency. She wraps her trunk gently around the calf's body, coaxing, guiding, until the calf rises. One foot, then another, wobbly, uncertain, but determined. The first steps of a giant are not graceful. They are not strong, but they are full of purpose. The herd watches. The matriarch rumbles a deep, approving note. Life has continued. Another daughter walks among them. The calf is surrounded by warmth. Trunks brushes against her, heads lowered in greeting. She is imprinted, not just with scent, but with belonging. Her world is small at first. She stays close to her mother's legs. She finds milk quickly, nursing in rhythm with the sway of the herd. Her ears are too large for her head. Her trunk flops like a rope with no purpose. She sneezes when she tries to suck water. She trips over her own feet when she runs. But none of it matters. She is learning every day. The elephants do not rush her. They do not scold. They wait. In the evenings, when the sun begins to fall, the herd slows. They cluster in a loose circle. The young ones lie down. The older ones stand close, forming a shield of silence and strength. The calf settles beside her mother, her body warm and tired, her ears twitching with the last light of day. She dreams of birds, of muddy puddles, of the taste of milk, of the comfort of her mother's heartbeat. These early months pass gently, marked not by grand events, but by the quiet repetition of life. Each day, the calf gains strength. Her legs grow sturdy, her trunk becomes useful. She learns to knock fruit from trees. She learns to listen for warnings. She learns to follow the slow shifts in direction without needing a call. Because elephants do not shout. They feel, they sense. They pass information through the soles of their feet, through low rumbles, through posture and breath. The calf learns this language, not with words, but with instinct. One evening, a storm approaches. far away at first, just a flicker of light on the horizon. But the matriarch feels it. Long before the thunder speaks, she shifts direction. The herd moves without question. They travel calmly, deliberately, toward shelter they cannot see. But the matriarch remembers. The calf follows, her small body brushing against her mother's leg. She doesn't know the danger, only that the pace has changed, and she must keep up. Rain begins to fall, light at first, then heavier, cooling their thick skin, turning dust into puddles. But they reach the trees, and there they wait. As the sky flashes and growls above, they stand together. The calf presses close to her mother, sheltered, still, safe. By morning, the world is new again. Puddles glisten. The air smells clean. Birds return to their branches, and the calf begins to play. She splashes, she chases butterflies. She tries and fails to trumpet like her older brother. A squeak emerges instead. The herd doesn't laugh, but there is a feeling in the air, a kind of shared amusement that only elephants know. She is not just growing stronger, she is becoming a part of them. There is no loneliness in the herd, only presence and memory and time. And so she grows, surrounded by gentle giants, guided by patience, held in a story that began long before her birth, and will continue long after she is gone. She does not yet know the weight of her feet, the power of her tusks, or the memory she will carry, but the herd knows, and they will teach her, not through lessons, but through living. Tonight, she rests beneath the wide sky, cradled by the soft hum of breath and earth, and the stars, always watching, shine a little brighter above her. The sun rises slowly, stretching golden light across the grasslands. The herd awakens softly, quietly, with the rhythm of breath and hooves. The young calf is now a few months old. Still small beside her mother's towering legs, but growing. Day by day, step by step, she learns what it means to be part of a herd. She walks more confidently now. Her feet press into warm dust, leaving tiny impressions beside the wide, flat prints of her elders. The world around her is vast, an open plain of sound, scent, and movement. She does not understand it all, but she does not need to. She is never alone. The matriarch, wise and weathered, with ears like ancient parchment, leads the way. Her memory is the map. She remembers every waterhole, every tree that fruits in the dry season, every path worn by those who came before. And the young ones follow, sometimes in a single file, sometimes in clusters, but always together. They stop often, to graze, to rest, to drink. And the calf watches. She watches how her mother tears grass with a twist of her trunk, how she pulls down soft branches, how she sprinkles dust across her back. The calf mimics these things, awkwardly at first. Her trunk flails more than it grabs. She sneezes when it brushes her face. She pulls up roots she cannot chew. But her attempts are met with patience. No one hurries her. No one scolds. There is time. One afternoon, the herd arrives at a shallow pool. The older elephants walk in without pause. They splash and spray, water glistening on their skin, sparkling in the sun. The calf approaches slowly. She touches the water with one toe. Then she plunges in, Kicking, squealing, tumbling beneath the surface, the others let her play, let her explore, let her learn through joy. And when she slips too far, her mother is there, lifting her gently with her trunk, returning her to safety without a word. There are no scoldings in the herd, only correction through touch, through presence. In the evenings when the sun begins to fall, the herd slows. They cluster in a loose circle. The young ones lie down, the older ones stand close, forming a shield of silence and strength. The calf settles beside her mother, her body warm and tired, her ears twitching with the last light of day. She dreams of birds, of muddy puddles, of the taste of milk, of the comfort of her mother's heartbeat. These early months pass gently, marked not by grand events, but by the quiet repetition of life. Each day the calf gains strength. Her legs grow sturdy. Her trunk becomes useful. She learns to knock fruit from trees. She learns to listen for warnings. She learns to follow the slow shifts in direction without needing a call. Because elephants do not shout. They feel, they sense, they pass information through the soles of their feet, through low rumbles, through posture and breath. The calf learns this language, not with words, but with instinct. One evening a storm approaches, far away at first, just a flicker of light on the horizon, but the matriarch feels it. Long before the thunder speaks, she shifts direction. The herd moves without question. They travel calmly, deliberately, toward shelter they cannot see, but the matriarch remembers. The calf follows, her small body brushing against her mother's leg. She doesn't know the danger, only that the pace has changed, and she must keep up. Rain begins to fall, light at first, then heavier, cooling their thick skin, turning dust into puddles. But they reach the trees, and there they wait. As the sky flashes and growls above, they stand together. The calf presses close to her mother, sheltered, still, safe. By morning, the world is new again. Puddles glisten, the air smells clean. Birds return to their branches, and the calf begins to play. She splashes, she chases butterflies. She tries and fails to trumpet like her older brother. A squeak emerges instead. The herd doesn't laugh, but there is a feeling in the air, a kind of shared amusement that only elephants know. She is not just growing stronger, she is becoming a part of them. There is no loneliness in the herd, only presence and memory and time. And so she grows, surrounded by gentle giants, guided by patience, held in a story that began long before her birth and will continue long after she is gone. She does not yet know the weight of her feet, the power of her tusks, or the memory she will carry. But the herd knows, and they will teach her not through lessons, but through living. Tonight, she rests beneath the wide sky. Calf is no longer new, months have passed. Her legs are stronger now. Her trunk, once floppy and uncoordinated, has begun to act with purpose. She can lift leaves, tug at the grass, flick dust across her back. The world is still massive, still full of mystery, but it is no longer unfamiliar. The herd continues to guide her. They roam across the savannah through forest edges and sunlit clearings. Every step reveals something new. A bird's song, a patch of wildflowers, the scent of distant rain. The calf is curious. She lingers behind sometimes, examining a branch, poking at a beetle, watching a lizard scurry underfoot. Her mother is never far. A soft rumble, a flick of the ear, a gentle nudge is all it takes to remind her where she belongs. Other young elephants travel with her. They tumble through the grass, chase shadows and splash through streams. They learn through imitation, through play. One young bull tries to lift a fallen log, his tiny tusks scraping the bark. Another pushes a rock for no reason other than the joy of movement. Their world is not fast. It is not loud. It moves with rhythm like a breath. The adults graze nearby, their movements slow and deliberate. The calf watches them. She learns what to eat, what to avoid, where to step. At night, she lies close to her mother, belly full, legs folded beneath her, head nestled in tall grass. The sky above her is endless. Stars blink slowly, crickets hum, and in the warmth of the herd, she falls asleep, safe and still. In time, the calf begins to venture a little farther. Not much, just a few extra steps, a few extra minutes of wandering. She discovers water that runs between her toes. She tests her voice, a soft trumpet that echoes across the trees. Birds scatter. She blinks in surprise, then tries again. The herd pays her no mind. They've heard it all before. She is not the first to trumpet with joy. She won't be the last. Elephants are explorers, not just of land, but of sound, touch, and memory. They follow invisible trails laid down by generations past. Sometimes the calf stares off into the distance, her ears twitching, her trunk raised. She's listening, sensing, and learning. The matriarch leads them to a wide river. The water is deep, but the herd crosses without fear. The calf hesitates at the edge. She watches her mother wade in. The others follow. So she steps forward. One foot, then another. The current pulls at her legs. She lifts her trunk high, like she's seen the adults do. Then, with one push, she's swimming. Her feet kick, her trunk curls above the surface like a periscope, and just like that, she's on the other side. The adults rumble low, pleased. She has crossed her first river. That night, she sleeps deeply, worn out, but proud. The journey continues. Each day brings a new sound, a new scent, a new feeling. But always, she is with the herd. Always, there is the steady presence of family. She is growing, learning, becoming. Slowly, gently, she is beginning to know what it means to be an elephant. Time continues its steady rhythm across the landscape, and with it, the young elephant grows. She is no longer the wobbling calf who stumbled in the dust or hid behind her mother at every unfamiliar sound. Her legs, once unsure, now move with confidence. Her skin is tougher, weathered by sun and rain. The short, stubby tusks that once barely peeked from beneath her upper lip have begun to stretch outward, glinting white beneath the sky. Her trunk flows with intention, no longer playful and uncertain, but capable. She can strip bark from trees, dig into dry ground to uncover hidden water, and pull branches from trees with grace. The herd moves as it always has, through seasons and across great distances, but the way she fits within it has changed. She is no longer the smallest, no longer the one who needs constant protection. The older calves look to her now. When they wander too far, she is the one who guides them back. When the sun is strong and the little ones seek shade, they stand beneath her now, resting against her side. She has become a presence of comfort and quiet strength. The older females have taken notice. They allow her to walk nearer to the front of the herd, closer to the matriarch. They no longer guard her every movement or shield her from the unknown. Instead, they trust her to watch, to listen, to learn. The matriarch, old and wise, occasionally stands beside her, leading the herd with steps that carry memory, instinct, and deep-rooted knowledge. She does not speak, but the young elephant feels the importance of her position. Each choice the matriarch makes is precise. She remembers every waterhole, every dry season, every storm that changed their path. And now, standing close, the young elephant begins to understand the weight of this knowledge. One day, the herd pauses at a shallow pool surrounded by trees. A newborn calf stumbles forward, too new to understand the shapes and shadows of the world. The calf nudges into the side of the young elephant, unsteady on her feet. The older elephant stands still, allowing the calf to lean into her body for balance. Then, with care, she lowers her trunk and wraps it gently around the calf's back, helping her rise again. No one says anything. There are no instructions, no words. But the matriarch rumbles softly nearby, and the herd watches. It is a silent approval. That evening, as the sun slips behind the trees and the sky turns to violet and silver, the young elephant chooses a place to sleep that is slightly apart from her mother for the first time. The grass is tall, the earth is cool, and above her, the stars are brighter than she remembers. As she lies down, she feels something quiet awaken within her. She is not just growing older, she is coming into her own, becoming not only a part of the herd's present, but a guide for its future. The world around the herd begins to change. What was once green and full of life becomes dry and brittle underfoot. The grass no longer grows thick and tall, and the waterholes shrink with each passing day. The trees drop fewer leaves, and their bark peels in thin, thirsty curls. The skies are clear, but they carry no rain, only heat. The sun climbs higher and lingers longer, drying the land and the air. The young elephant, now growing into the full size of her body, feels the difference. The mornings come earlier, the nights stretch longer, and the herd's movements shift with purpose. They travel farther between stops, their grazing more focused, their conversations quieter. The calves grow restless with the long walks, and the older elephants begin to show signs of weariness. The matriarch, wise and alert, walks with greater urgency, her senses sharpened by experience. She remembers the dry years of the past. Her steps are guided not just by instinct, but by memory. She knows where hidden streams may still flow, and where shaded groves might offer some comfort. The young elephant follows closely, not needing to be told. She senses the change in pace and mood and adapts. She keeps the calves close, shields them from the sun, and watches their energy drain as the dry season deepens. Each day stretches into the next with little rest. The herd travels in longer shifts now, resting only when absolutely necessary. The once playful mood of the younger elephants has faded. There is no time for games, no energy to spare. Dust clings to their skin, and their bellies rumble with hunger. The young elephant watches the horizon constantly, scanning for any sign of green, any whisper of water. She has begun to understand the silent language of movement, how the herd shifts its shape when nervous, how the matriarch pauses when listening for danger, how even the birds overhead can signal where the land is still alive. One evening, they come across a familiar river, only to find it has nearly vanished. The water is shallow and warm, barely enough to drink. Still, the herd enters, sipping what they can, covering themselves in wet mud to hold the heat away. The young elephant leads the calves into the shallows, helping them drink carefully without wasting a drop. Later that night, an elder bull collapses. He is old and tired and cannot continue. The herd gathers around him in silence. They form a wide ring, trunks reaching out in quiet farewell. The young elephant stands beside him longer than the others. She does not understand death entirely, but she understands presence. She stays until the matriarch moves on and follows without needing to be called. The journey resumes. No words are spoken. Grief moves with the herd, but it does not stop them. Eventually, the land changes once again. After many days of dry hills and cracked ground, the trees begin to look greener and the wind carries the scent of water. The herd slows, senses rising, as they come upon a narrow stream tucked between the roots of a shaded grove. The water is not deep, but it is enough. The calves cry out softly with relief as they step into the cool mud. The young elephant dips her trunk into the water and brings it to her mouth, savoring each drop. She watches the others drink, seeing the wear in their bodies and the quiet in their faces. But for the first time in weeks, the silence feels different. It is not empty, it is peaceful. That night, the herd rests more fully. The calves sleep close together. The elders lie down in the grass. The young elephant remains awake a little longer, standing near the edge of the grove, listening to the wind pass through the trees. She looks up at the sky and sees it clearer than she has in many nights. The stars are steady, the air is cooler. She breathes in slowly, deeply, and lets it out. The season of struggle is not over, but they have made it through the worst. And she, no longer just a follower, has become a source of strength, not just to the calves, but to the herd itself. The land is peaceful again. After the long struggle through dry winds and empty plains, the rains have returned, and with them life begins to bloom once more. The grass grows tall and fresh, waving gently in the breeze. Trees stretch their limbs, full of green once again, and the waterholes swell with clear, cool water. Birds return to their branches. Frogs call from shallow pools. The herd slows its pace, no longer rushing to survive. The young elephant, now an adult in her own right, senses the difference. The urgency is gone. In its place is a rhythm, a routine. Each day begins quietly, with the sun rising slowly over the horizon and warming the earth. The herd stirs from sleep, calves stretching and yawning, older elephants grazing in soft silence. The matriarch leads them, not out of fear or necessity now, but with calm confidence. They move in harmony, not to escape, but to live. The young elephant wakes early now, even before a mother, and stands watching the sky shift from deep blue to soft gold. She has found a stillness in these moments, a quiet place inside herself that feels more certain than ever before. The days unfold in familiar patterns. They graze for hours, slowly tearing mouthfuls of fresh grass, pausing often to nap or bathe in the rising heat. The calves play again, tumbling through the mud, splashing in puddles, chasing butterflies that drift lazily above the grass. The young elephant watches them with the same protective care once shown to her. When they wander too far, she walks beside them. When they grow tired, she allows them to rest against her side. The older elephants let her take this role naturally. There are no words exchanged, no formal passing of duty. It simply happens. One morning, a newborn stumbles into the world. beneath the branches of a flowering tree. The herd gathers around, soft and still, forming a living wall of protection. The young elephant is among the first to greet the calf, brushing her trunk along its wet forehead, standing close to the new mother. Later, she walks with the baby as it learns to stand, guiding its first steps with patience and care. In these moments, she understands something new, not just about the herd, but about herself. She is not just a daughter of elephants. She is becoming a keeper of memory, a guardian of peace. The routine of life offers more than comfort. It offers clarity. In repetition, there is wisdom. In daily movement, there is meaning. As weeks pass and the season settles into balance, the young elephant begins to feel a deeper connection to the land. She knows where the softest soil lies, where the fruit is ripest, where the riverbed curls beneath the trees. She walks not just with her feet, but with memory. She remembers the hard months, the losses, the long walks beneath an unforgiving sun. But those days no longer carry pain. They carry perspective. She watches the matriarch more closely now, noticing the way she listens before choosing a path, the way she pauses when the wind changes, the way she leads without force. The young elephant begins to mimic these things, not to take her place, but to prepare. One day it will be her time to guide, not yet, but soon. And so she rests in this season, allowing herself to live fully in the rhythm of the herd. The nights are warm and gentle. The stars shine without urgency. She falls asleep to the sound of calm breathing, of crickets in the grass, of water moving softly over stone. She dreams not of struggle, but of presence. She dreams of walking, of guiding, of becoming. Time moves differently now. The days stretch long and quiet, and the young elephant, no longer truly young, begins to feel the weight of years in her body. Her steps are slower, more thoughtful. The calves that once played at her feet are now older themselves, strong and curious, forming the new heart of the herd. She still walks with them, still shields them from storms, and teaches them where to drink when water is hidden. But the energy she once carried has softened. Her body feels heavier at the end of the day, and she often chooses to rest sooner than the others. The matriarch, older still, walks beside her often now, saying nothing. The two understand each other without sound. They have seen seasons pass. They have buried the old and welcomed the new. They have felt both fear and peace in equal measure. As the herd moves through familiar lands, she begins to recognize trees she once passed as a calf, stones she once played beside. Everything is both old and new. Her memories are stored not in words, but in steps taken, in dust stirred, in water sipped. And she carries those memories like silent songs, humming beneath her skin. One evening, the sky turns a deep red, the kind that only comes at the end of a long, hot day. The herd gathers beneath the trees, eating slowly, resting in patches of shade. She stands apart for a moment, her eyes following the fading light. She breathes deeply, the air warm and still. There is no pain, no fear, just a deep tiredness, the kind that reaches through her bones. She lowers herself gently to the ground, resting her head against the earth. A few of the younger elephants notice, walking over to touch her trunk, to lie beside her. She does not move. She blinks slowly, her breath steady. Her body knows what is coming, even if her mind does not name it. The matriarch approaches, stands silently beside her, then lowers her own head in quiet respect. The herd gathers around, without panic, without sorrow. They simply stand with her. Some rest their trunks across her back, others rumble low, offering comfort through vibration and presence. The sun slips away behind the hills and the stars appear one by one. She breathes slowly, surrounded by her family, and then softly she sleeps. By morning, she does not rise. The herd does not rush to leave. They remain for some time, walking around her, brushing their bodies against hers, remembering in their own way. The calves are quiet. The matriarch does not call for movement. They wait. And when it is time, they continue forward, not with grief, but with grace. The path ahead still stretches wide. The trees still sway in the wind. The rivers still call, and in each step the herd takes, she lingers. In the shade they rest beneath, in the dust they stir, in the lessons she passed down, she remains. Death in their world is not an ending. It is a return, a cycle continued. The young calves will one day tell her story in gestures, in movement, in the way they comfort one another. Her life was not marked by noise or grand events, but by presence. And that presence echoes now in the stillness of the land, in the silence of morning, in the peaceful beating of 100 hearts. As the herd fades into the horizon, the wind carries the last quiet breath of a gentle goodbye. The herd continues forward, and their steps press into soft earth, leaving behind patterns only the wind and time will erase. The morning air is cool, touched by the fading echoes of the elephant who now rests behind them. They do not speak of her. Elephants have no words, but they carry memory in movement, in silence, in the quiet rumbles that pass from one to another as they walk beneath the sun. The matriarch leads with a calm certainty, but she is not alone in her memory. Each member of the herd carries something of her. The way she moved, the way she stood watch at dusk, the way she comforted calves during storms. Even the youngest remember, though they may not know how to say it. They feel it in the way others now move around them, slower and softer, more protective than before. The herd has changed, subtly, quietly, and the change is her legacy. The landscape shifts again as they travel. Green hills rise in the distance, dotted with baobab trees and cool pools shaded by dense forest. The rains have left the land full and rich, and the herd takes its time. Calves play along the edges of the trees, chasing one another in wide arcs, trumpeting their joy into the sky. The older elephants graze nearby, occasionally pausing to bathe in the shade or brush against one another in greeting. There is no rush, no threat, just the presence of time moving as it should. And in that slow passing of days, her memory begins to settle more deeply into the rhythm of their lives. Her absence becomes presence, a familiar shape in the way the herd clusters at night, a rhythm in the way the young ones are guided across streams, a quiet strength in the way one of her closest companions now stands beside the matriarch, not replacing her, but walking forward in the place she once held. One of the young calves, still small but growing fast, watches the older elephants with curiosity. She mimics their movements. She walks in their footsteps, and when she stumbles or lags, one of the older females, the one who once walked closely with the departed, circles back to guide her forward. This calf does not remember the elephant who is gone the way the others do. She was too young, but the lessons remain, passed down in motion and touch. When the calf is tired, she finds rest near the same trees. When she is frightened, she is comforted in the same way. The past lives quietly within the present, shaping each new generation with gentle, invisible threads. This is a legacy in the elephant world, not monuments, not songs, but presence, repetition, care, a way of moving through the world that outlives the body that began it.
As the days unfold, the memory of her life lingers not only in the herd's patterns, but in the land itself. The paths she once walked are walked again, and the grass seems to bend more softly where her feet once fell. The trees she stood beneath bloom with quiet welcome, their wide canopies stretching above the heads of the new generation. Birds perch in the same branches, calling gently into the stillness. The breeze carries scents she once knew, the smell of damp soil after rain, the sweetness of ripe fruit, the dusty warmth of the midday sun. These are the pieces of life she moved through, and in a way that is slow and sacred, they now move through others. Even the insects seem to hum her memory, the cicadas singing as the sun lowers over the hills. The world remembers in its own language, not through sorrow, but through stillness, through beauty, through the continuing life of the herd she helped shape. The matriarch who has led them through years of both hardship and peace now walks a little slower. Her age has caught up with her bones. Her steps are deliberate, her eyes are calm. She still listens with her feet and leads with her heart, but now she is flanked more often by others. The younger females walk beside her, learning through nearness, just as the elephant they lost once did. The matriarch no longer corrects them. She trusts them. Trust is one of the deepest forms of memory in the elephant world. It is not given easily, and once earned, it binds the herd like invisible thread. And so, they move together with more than knowledge. They move with remembrance. The young females mimic the matriarch's pauses, her decisions, her posture when she stops to observe the wind. These gestures, small and subtle, are the fingerprints of those who came before. They ripple outward like quiet waves. This is how an elephant lives on, not in a single moment, but in thousands of small choices carried forward without a word. One afternoon, a storm rises in the distance. It begins with a sharp wind and the scent of rain curling over the horizon. The herd gathers instinctively, not out of fear, but out of practice. They have weathered storms before. The calves draw close. The older elephants form a circle. The sky darkens slowly, steadily. Lightning flickers against the far hills, and in the heart of the herd, the memory of her presence is felt most clearly. It is in the way the group clusters without panic, in the way the young are shielded, in the quiet rumble that passes between the elephants as the first drops fall. The young elephant who now guides the calves was once guided herself. She remembers a moment from long ago when she was small and uncertain and tucked herself under the belly of the one who is now gone. The storm passes without harm. The herd does not speak of it, but in the way they return to grazing afterward, slow and sure, her legacy is clear. They are steady because she once stood steady for them. The seasons continue their quiet cycle, and with each passing one, the herd grows not just in number, but in understanding. The calves born since her passing are no longer tiny. They run through tall grasses with ease, their feet steady, their trunks playful. They chase one another through streams and under trees, tumbling over roots and stirring clouds of butterflies into the air. They have never met her, never touched her side or heard her voice, yet they benefit from her presence every day. The care shown to them,
the safety they enjoy, the gentleness with which they are taught, all of it is an echo of her life, passed from elephant to elephant, like water flowing from one pool into another. And so, though her form no longer walks beside them, she is there in the shape of the herd itself, in its kindness, its rhythm, its calm. One of the older calves, now a young female nearly grown, begins to take on more responsibility. She stands watch while others rest. She mimics the matriarch's pauses, learns how to listen to the wind and feel the rumble of distant hooves beneath the ground. She is not told what to do. She simply watches and begins to understand. This is how wisdom is passed down, not through instruction, but through observation and shared space. She remembers the elephant who once shielded her from the sun, who stayed close on difficult paths, who lowered her trunk gently when she was afraid. And now, when a newborn calf stumbles beside her, she does the same. She extends her body like a shelter. She hums low and soft, and the calf leans into her, comforted by a presence that feels both new and familiar. That night, as the herd rests in a clearing surrounded by trees, the stars open wide above them. The young female lies awake for a moment, her eyes following the constellations she does not name, but somehow knows. The air is warm, the wind is soft. Somewhere nearby, a night bird calls out once and then falls silent. She listens not for anything in particular, but simply to be present. And in that stillness, she feels it. A sense of connection that goes beyond memory, something passed to her not just by those she has known, but by those who came before. She does not understand it fully, but she feels it in her bones, steady and quiet. The herd breathes around her, slow and calm, and beneath the sky, she sleeps it. Morning comes slowly. The trees stretch their shadows across the earth and the first birds begin their calls, soft and rhythmic. The herd stirs gently. One by one they rise, stretch, and begin their quiet movements. There is no rush. The air is cool and the land is calm. They graze among tall grass, brush against one another with their trunks, and begin another day in the only way they know, together. The young female, now no longer young, walks with quiet confidence beside the matriarch. She has grown into her strength, not in bursts, but in the slow, steady rhythm of seasons lived with purpose. She does not seek to lead, but her presence leads by example. The calves follow her, not out of habit, but out of trust. She is patient with them, steady. Her voice when she rumbles is low and familiar. It carries reassurance, not command. And as she walks, there is a peace that surrounds her, a stillness that feels old and rooted. It is the same peace once carried by another, long ago, who once walked in this same light, across this same land. The matriarch, ever watchful, sees it. She sees the way the herd turns toward the younger female, the way the calves press close to her, the way the older elephants allow her to walk near the front. And in her wisdom, the matriarch does not resist what is natural. She welcomes it. The changing of leadership in a herd is not marked by ceremony. There is no announcement. It happens in steps and glances, in silent decisions made over time. In this herd, as in all elephant herds, Legacy lives in motion. And now, a new presence takes root, not to replace, but to continue. The one who came before is still here, not in body, but in the balance of the group. Her touch echoes in every nudge of a trunk, every slow blink of understanding, every moment of calm under a star-filled sky. And so, the herd moves forward, not just across land, but through generations. What one elephant learned, another now carries. What one once protected, another now teaches. The cycle does not end. It evolves. It flows like the rivers they cross, deepening with time. In this quiet, expansive world, legacy is not loud. It is not sudden. It is not something that fades. It simply becomes a part of the living, breathed in and out like wind through leaves. And as the day stretches on and the sun rises higher above the horizon, the herd disappears into the tall grass, unhurried, together, and whole.